Welcome to the Flipped Classroom. Today we'll be discussing various positive aspects as well as opportunities faced when introducing a flipped classroom. Check out these situations in which flipping can be impressive and worthwhile. This robot was trained to flip pancakes using a motion sensor after many practice trials. Flipping houses can be risky, but fun and worthwhile in the long run. I would never attempt this type of flipping, but it's pretty impressive and it takes lots of practice. The flipped classroom can be worthwhile and successful, but just like these examples, it can take a lot of time and effort to make it good for the kids and effective in learning. The gist of the flipped classroom is simple. Teachers have the basic material and notes available so that the students can access them outside of the classroom. This information is usually in the form of lectures or notes. Then the students can spend time in the classroom working on material with value beyond the notes. Supporters of the flipped classroom identify the benefits of one-to-one attention in the classroom and the ability of students to work at their own pace. In addition, students who understand the material already don't have to take time listening to lectures that they already understand. Other benefits may be seen with student absences, as they can easily make up the material outside of the classroom, and the flipped classroom allows for peer tutoring between those who get it and those who may need extra time. As with any teaching tool, there are critics who say that students don't need more on-screen time outside of school. There is also the argument that some students may be alienated because of lack of technology availability. Hopefully we won't have that issue with our new one-to-one initiative. I have a few examples of flipping that I've used in my classroom. The first of these is having the students watch videos that I post and then answer questions on a Google form. Last year I had them watch Jamie Oliver's Food Revolution and then reflect on the current state of nutrition in school lunches. Most of the notes that I give in the classroom are taken outside of class. Students will take the notes and answer essential questions about the content, usually on a Google form, and then we're able to discuss the content the next day in class. Some of the benefits that I have observed are that students are able to use class time to work on projects or research, not simply on taking notes. And when I use the Google Forms, I'm able to determine if they understood the main content of the material. Some drawbacks that I have observed are that some students choose not to take the notes, which makes it difficult to generate conversation. In addition, when some students do not complete the forms after the notes, I cannot assess the comprehension of the material. Just a few things to remember. When giving these assignments outside of class, remember that some sort of assessment or feedback should be given. Teachers should also remember they don't have to always be the guide, and that they can put the work back into the hands of the student. Finally, use materials that are already in existence. Khan Academy has great instructional videos for pretty much every discipline. The following TED Talk clip highlights the flipped classroom and the videos that are available for use.
Khan Academy is most known for its collection of videos. So before I go any farther, let me show you a little bit of a montage.
So the hypotenuse is now going to be 5. This animal's fossils are only found in this area of South America, a nice clean band here, and this part of Africa. We could integrate over the surface, and the notation usually is a capital sigma. National Assembly, they create the Committee of Public Safety, which sounds like a very nice committee. Notice this is an aldehyde, and it's an alcohol. Start differentiating into effector and memory cells. A galaxy. Hey, there's another galaxy. Oh, look, there's another galaxy. And for dollars is their $30 million plus the $20 million from the American manufacturer. If this does not blow your mind, then you have no emotion.
We now have on the order of 2,200 videos covering everything from basic arithmetic all the way to vector calculus and some of the stuff that you saw up there. We have a million students a month using the site, watching on the order of 100 to 200,000 videos a day. But what we're going to talk about in this is how we're going to the next level. But before I do that, I want to talk a little bit about really just how I got started. And some of y'all might know, about 5 years ago, I was an analyst at a hedge fund, and I was in Boston, and I was tutoring my cousins in New Orleans remotely. And I started putting the first YouTube videos up really just as kind of a nice to have, just kind of a supplement for my cousins, something that might, give them a refresher or something. And as soon as I put those first YouTube videos up, something interesting happened. Actually, a bunch of interesting things happened. The first was the feedback from my cousins. They told me that they preferred me on YouTube than in person. And once you get over the backhanded nature of that, there was actually something very profound there. They were saying that they preferred the automated version of their cousin to their cousin. At first it's very unintuitive, but when you actually think about it from their point of view, it makes a ton of sense. You have this situation where now they can pause and repeat their cousin. Now they can, without feeling like they're wasting my time. They could, if they have to review something that they should have learned a couple of weeks ago or maybe a couple of years ago, they don't have to be embarrassed and ask their cousin. They can just watch those videos. If they're bored, they can go ahead. They can watch it at their own time, at their own pace. And probably the least appreciated, aspect of this is the notion that the very first time that you're trying to get your brain around a new concept, the very last thing you need is another human being saying, "Do you understand this?" And that's what was happening with the interaction with my cousins before, and now they could just do it kind of in the intimacy of their own room.
This is one of my DNA lessons that I have on our website for biology. In this particular example, students will take the notes from the website so that they can design a DNA model. They will use other websites for research, but this is basically the first view that they've had of DNA. The comprehension of their knowledge will come the next day when we discuss DNA in class and take a look at the structure so that they can complete their model. Just a few things to think about before you decide to flip your classroom. Just because I record something or use recorded material doesn't necessarily mean that my kids are going to want to watch it or that they will see the relevance in watching it. Also, you need to consider, are you recording it just because it's going to be on the test or because you need it to graduate? Students need to be engaged, and in order to be engaged in the flipped classroom and for it to be successful, it needs to be paired with transparency and a reason to want to learn the content. Another factor to consider is the engagement of your students. One of the best ways to do this is to find a good model, such as UBD or PBL, to institute into your classroom. Then what you need to do is become a master of those models and then look to see how can I include this into my flipped classroom. It's a perfect way to engage students. What type of technology do you have to support the flipped classroom? Since the flipped classroom is about recorded video, then obviously the students would have to have the right technology to do this. There are many things that you need to consider, but there are ways to differentiate and allow for choice if technology is not available. Every time you have students watch a video, you should be sure to build in some sort of a reflective activity afterwards so the students can think about what they learned and see the relevance of the activity. Implementing the flipped classroom will not be effective if you don't have your students reflect, and they need to be metacognitive about what they're learning in order to make it authentic. When considering the flipped classroom, do you want your students to look like this? Or would you rather they be engaged and interested like this? Here are some closing thoughts. Flipping the classroom is not the answer to solving all of the flaws in our education system. However, neither is doing nothing and continuing on like nothing is wrong.